Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Manage the Wild. I'm your host, Nick Madsen. Today we're talking about chronic wasting disease. Seems like we keep talking about disease, but disease is one of those things that's in nature is very difficult to control. As we talked about COVID and all the frustrations and the challenges that we faced with COVID, whether it was knowing what we should and shouldn't do or how not to get it and the spread and how that became confusing to some. Chronic wasting disease is a challenge because it is fatal. It is an infectious neurological disease from an infected protein that gets into the brain and the spinal column, and it is fatal, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's popping up in multiple states. Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Idaho, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, New Mexico, Texas, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and a lot of other places. It's pretty much everywhere. It's popped up here in Utah, and we're dealing with it. You're looking at your areas. Biologists are looking at the areas that are infected. They're trying to reduce those populations. They're trying to cut down on the buck-to-doe ratios as well. Some of your issues is the bucks really like to spread it as they go from different groups of females trying to mate with them. So you really want to cut down on your buck-to-doe ratios, but you also want to cut down on your population densities as well to really contain that spread. But I don't know if you really can contain it. Some areas, it seems like people are importing it from bringing animals from out of state or out of the area into the area, throwing the carcass out after they've harvested an animal, and then you start the spread there. Idaho, it just popped up in the Slate Creek area. Back in October, they decided to do a management hunt, kind of. I guess you could call it a management hunt. They were allowing landowners to harvest more animals. Also, they were using different methods to increase their sampling, whether it was using bait or shooting at nighttime, those different types of things. And they're trying to ramp up their samples. That area tested positive in 2021, and they tested between 2021 and 22. They tested 6 positive animals. 23, they tested 43 positive animals, and they are just trying to stop that spread. So again, they are starting another management project, I guess you could call it, for that Slate Creek area, Unit 14, on February 5th, so 2 days ago, and it's expected to last up to 4 weeks. They didn't say how many animals they were going to remove, but they're going to try and increase the number of samples to see if it's really spreading, and also they're going to try to harvest as many animals as possible to really reduce the spread of CWD. The one challenge that you've got is it's in so many states. If you were just to go on Wyoming Fish and Game Department, Game and Fish Department, and just click on their news, January 29th, 2024, CWD detected in a new area. This area is near Lander. Yeah, it's the Lander region. So that was January 9th of 2024. You then go to January 12th of 2024, and CWD pops up near Bondurant area. Then you go to January 9th, and elk unit number 28 in the Lander area had a cow elk that tested positive for CWD, and that was in December of 2028. And as you keep scrolling, December 26th, Hunt Area 92 in Pinedale, elk tested positive for CWD. So CWD is popping up everywhere, and there is just not a lot that biologists can do about it. Again, they can try to reduce the spread, but the problem is the protein stays alive for so long. If an animal has CWD, falls down dead on the ground, it then infects the plants and everything around it. So as deer come and graze by it and nuzzle up next to it just to smell it, they can become infected. And the only thing that really kills it, it seems, is fire, because nothing else does. Even if it kills the host, it can still remain viable for quite a long time on the ground, in the soil, on the plant. It doesn't matter. And so CWD is just popping up everywhere. This is never good news. Disease is terrible. Disease affects sheep. It now affects deer, moose, elk. Yeah, and there's nothing that we can do about it. It is what it is. That's part of wildlife management, and that's part of why testing and sampling and reported harvest data, all these things are important because you're trying to monitor and find out where these diseases are moving and how they're moving through your state. So I hope this helps. It's not very uplifting. Have a great day. Stay wild.